For my lesson plan number 9, I choose the topic passive voice and relative. This is for the third level of bachelor with a 30 minutes duration. The lesson plan designer is me, Daniela Villagomez, and the object is for during this lesson the student will be able to distinguish between active and passive voice in sentences. They will create sentences in the active and passive voice. They will learn the definition of relative clauses and the word that signal relative clauses, and they will understand the role of relative clauses. For the method and the strategies, I choose the audiolingual method and total physical response, solo group, pair activity, and group activities. For the anticipatory set, I will start the class with a reading about Hong Kong as a food paradise. This is a story where the students will work in groups. In this reading, they are going to identify some passive constructions. Also was drawn to choose constructions because some of the students learned passive voice in the primary. During the long of this then main teaching input in the main teaching input section, I'm going to present them the form of passive construction and through examples demonstrate converting active sentences into passive sentences. I'm going to explain them the use of the relative clauses with examples. Do this explanation obviously on the board, using examples of each part for the students be easily understand the explanation as possible. For the guided practice, the students will work in pairs and on their books, page 39, activity 3 and 4. Then they are going to complete a text with a passive voice. Then they do sentences using this passive voice too. For the independent practice, as a homework, the students will work in the textbook on page 39, activity 5 and 6, where they will choose the correct relative clauses and rewrite the sentences. For the assessment, the students will work in online worksheets where they are going to complete the sentence, find the verb in the third form. I left here the link of these online worksheets where the students going to develop or show more about the grammar on the section and the activities that are planned for this lesson. Finally, for the closing review and follow-up, as a finished activity, I like that the students ask me questions about the grammar topic and I will give them a reinforce. It's important because including when are these kind of topics that are a little more complicated or maybe could be result more difficult. They feel or they have this confidence that know all about, and if isn't they can talk with me, ask me some questions, or maybe make a little another explanation using more examples, more vocabulary, including more resources for this in the same lesson or maybe for the next lesson, but I know and I have this idea about what I need, and could conclude correctly these objectives that we mentioned in the beginning. Well, for this class, the materials, I use some multimedia resources like this online worksheets, the book, and that's all in this considering the materials.